This video has been sent to me. It looks like a petition. Bungie, stop ignoring thousands of players, fix the Tapir error, and unblock access. So let's jump into it, see what we're talking about with this one.
Attention, Dennis 2 players, this is John Lopin.
What? Okay, it's English dubbed. Okay, wait. It's English dubbed, okay? So he's not actually speaking English, and this is YouTube's version of changing the language. So this is like some AI technology. So just bear with us, all right?
You've heard a lot about this over the past couple of weeks. Someone even managed to refute it, but it's time for you to know the truth.
Why the Captain America? Okay, listen, the English dub is one thing, but the Captain America B-roll is so ridiculous. This is like...
Bungie isn't what we thought it was. It was taken over by Sony. Justin Truman, its leader.
This is true. I mean, Sony acquired Bungie for $3.6 billion, yes. This looks like a bad skit or something. Am I getting pranked here? Did someone send me a... What the hell?
PvE and PvP teams have also joined Sony. I don't know all the insiders, but they're in the same room with us.
Where?
They could be right next to you. They almost got what they wanted, silencing the situation. They almost killed Dennis 2 online.
Not Dennis 2! No! You can't! Leave him alone! What is this QR code, by the way? What the hell? Dennis 2. Look, for science purposes, I'm going to scan this QR code, okay? And yeah, now I have a virus on my phone. Great. All right, let's just go ahead and close that down.
And it won't end there. If you just quietly leave, our beloved game will finally fade into oblivion unless we intervene. I know it's a lot to ask, but there are still people in the community who haven't given up on this game.
This is a fucking masterpiece, bro. This is it. This is a masterpiece. This is peak. You're experiencing it, okay? You thought we were at the low point for Destiny 2? No, this is it right here. This is peak.
I haven't given up yet. If it's just me, then so be it.
I don't even know if I can watch this. I'm gonna get copyright from Marvel for watching, like, what?
But I'm convinced I'm not alone. Where's the link to the petition? I'll sign. Speed is more important than quality. Then unblock the game. Prohibited by law.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna say it. I think AI could generate a better video than this. What is this right now? What am I at? Is this? I'm getting pranked. Someone is laughing at me right now. Someone's like, this idiot's gonna actually watch this.
Buy silver. Donate Taze. Sorry, sir, I won't play until you block them.
Is this a skit now? Is he like dubbing is he dubbing the clips that are happening like as like a dramatic like meme skit? I don't know. It's too many. It's like Inception. It's too many layers deep. I can't even perceive what's actually happening, you know? Inception 2.
Lopan's request. Exotic mission is soon visible. He said, we're lowering the rating, filing complaints, issuing refunds. Lopan's request.
I think I can't watch this anymore. I'm actually have tears coming out of my eyes right now. I don't think I can actually watch this anymore.
You won't achieve anything anyway. And we'll try.
Movie of the week. I can't. Wait a second. All right. Only a couple times in my life have you ever laughed so much that you can't stop laughing? Like the laughter won't stop. Like 2 or 3 times has happened. It's like the most obnoxious feeling because you're like, okay, I'm done laughing now, but your body physically cannot stop laughing. I just had that. Oh my God. I have not laughed so hard in my life. Bro, this shit is fucking peak, dude. This is the magnum opus of Destiny 2 content right here. You're witnessing a masterpiece. Dennis 2 players. We are in trouble.
This is John, aka Lopin312, a Desnia streamer on Twitch. It's been a while since I addressed you like that, or rather, introduced myself like that in my videos. Usually, I put a title after my name, like News 312, 312, Game 312. But today I'm just a dumbass, just a player.
The English dub just like, today I'm just a dumbass. what, what is going on?
Who likes Destiny 2. In general, my life is structured this way. Yeah, I only do what I like. I don't like bending to someone else's.
What did you say? Yeah, I only do what I like. Relatable, yes, relatable. What is this? I think this dub is doing this man dirty, though. I think the dub is doing him dirty. I need to learn his native language. What is that? Is he a Russian streamer that can no longer play? Is that what's happening? Like if he was in Russia, he can no longer play. I want to figure this out. Let's see. Let's get to the bottom of it.
Opinions, someone else's expectations, or anything else. That's why I even, how should I say, when I mention my friends, I use be to no one. Yeah, I don't bow down to anyone.
That's right. Never back down, never what?
That's why it's doubly funny to me when someone writes to me in the comments about, like, have some self-respect, the developers don't care about you, and yet you keep trying to get through to them. I'm not trying to get through to anyone in the sense of, like, begging or something. Like, if they don't want to notice me, I have to answer, screw it, as long as I have the physical ability. Personally, I and many others who like
What am I watching? Your guess is as good as mine. Honestly, at this stage, I don't even know. Sometimes I feel like I'm in a fucking fever dream, dude, and I'm just gonna wake up.
like this game will continue to play it because, well, I like the game, not, those who make it, yes, but not always. Sometimes I like the people who make the game, but not always. Very often, I express my critical opinion about the developers, about Bungie, about Sony, and so on. Well, as you can understand, my video here will be addressed to everyone at the same time. That is, those who like the game, those who don't like the game, those who like my videos, those who don't like my videos, the developers, Western content creators, and so on. I know that, they're unlikely to watch this, because
we're watching. I'm on the edge of my seat right now.
Broadcasting to a Russian-speaking audience, but since YouTube automatically translates videos into English, there's a chance.
That's what I'm talking about. Thank you to YouTube for the auto dub. As much as this might be like an absolute butchering of the, charisma of a person's voice and speech, at least it's nice that I can hear the message. Like I understand what he's trying to say. If he was speaking in his language, I don't speak that language. I would have no clue. I would have to read the subtitles, which could potentially even be worse, right? So this is actually, as goofy as it sounds, it's actually not bad that I can actually, we can have a conversation now,
So, in this video, I'm also addressing Bungie and Western content creators and so on. Guys, well, you could explain what's going on, but I think we have a right to know. Look, we're not stupid. We know it was 2022. We know what's going on in the world right now. Yes, we know why all this could be happening. We, how can we say, have no illusions. That is, one way or another, the game has officially stopped being sold in Russia and Belarus since 2022. But one way or another, we find ways to keep playing this game, to continue one way or another, to bring you Bungie money one way or another. We continue to praise it, we continue to criticize it, we continue to play it because we like it. But for me and everyone else who's continuing, even despite what you've been doing with this game for the past few years, and everything you've always done with it, we haven't always liked what you've done with it, but this year it's just beyond the pale. No open-ended, as they say, yes, that is, beyond the pale of light. Now, it turns out, it's all happening beyond the pale of darkness.
No, they were able to play after the message was posted in 2022, and it was only a few weeks ago that the Tapir error code thing started happening, and now people can still continuously play with a VPN. That's where it's at.
Despite the first part of the video, the second part of my video is unscripted. I'm speaking for myself here.
That first part was scripted? Brother, send me the transcript. He said, start with Captain America. Dramatic scene. Talking about Dennis too. I need to see the transcript of this. I will take that transcript. I will print it out and I will frame it and put it on the wall behind me here. That is a beautiful work of art.
Here, so I'll try to convey my thoughts as clearly and distinctly as I can. I'm far from the best player in the game. I'm far from the best public speaker. I'm far from the best content creator. Yeah, damn, I'm probably far from the best person, but I am who I am, and you can't break me. I'm going to the end. Well, you get the idea. Well, like, I just accept myself as I am. I accept my hobbies. I accept my love for this game. Despite the fact that many might think that we have some kind of objective relationship with it, that I don't like a lot of things about it, that I get upset very often, I get angry very often, yeah, but still, one way or another, I continue to play it for 11 years since I first launched it in beta. I like it, one way or another, so I continue to play it, continue to make content for it. And I know that I'm not the only one. I know that there are a lot of people who care about this game, who don't give a damn about opinions about the game being dead, about how it's better to find something else. Well, like, if someone doesn't like this game, they're free to go play another game, they're free to do whatever they want.
Sure, okay. I mean, he's making some valid points so far.
But I'm not going to stop playing it just because someone somewhere decided to do something to prevent me from playing it one way or another. I mean, I'll play this game as long as I'm physically able, and I'll continue covering the news. That's it, and, accordingly, I'm not even asking Bungie to cancel Taper, our beloved developers.
He's talking about to period the error code, and he's talking about asking Bungie to fix it.
I'm simply asking you to come out and say why you decided now, Bungie, and yes, Sony, or whoever did this, and then 3 years later, block access for the Russian-speaking region.
Yeah, so that's the timeline, right? So they have, so let's go here. So what he's referencing is that Bungie posted this in 2022, March 9th, which is Bungie stands with the people of Ukraine and everyone impacted by the ongoing war. Starting today, we will be working with our partners to suspend all Destiny 2 sales and commerce in Russia and Belarus. And so this is Bungie's response to the war that's been put on Ukraine to send a strong message and to stand in unity, and the other companies as well are basically, putting sanctions on Russia. And this didn't go into effect immediately, though. So people were still able, at the time here, people were still in Russia, were still playing Witch Queen, and they got to play through the full year of Witch Queen. They got to purchase Lightfall and play through the full year of Lightfall. They got to purchase the Final Shape, play through the full year of Final Shape. They got to purchase Edge of Fate. And now, like 2 months into Edge of Fate, now finally the servers are shut off, right? And it may be due to new laws being passed in Russia, or maybe sanctions being placed in effect from Sony and from the acquisition. We don't exactly know why in this exact moment it's happened. I don't know, we can't point to a particular piece of legislation or law that was passed just now, or maybe had a due date or an effect date of 2 weeks ago. And if this was the case, I think that we would see this for other games. Like, to give you an example, Destiny 2 is not the only game banned in Russia. There's a bunch of others. I don't think that they just had their server shut off for other games as well, right? Because we would hear about that. We'd be like, oh, Russia servers for all these other games also got shut off. So it's this seems maybe a little more independent, at least from the evidence and from what we've seen, right? And so Bungie has just recently decided to shut the servers down. Not necessarily a bit of miscommunication, but it's a bit confusing where it's Bungie's starting today, we'll be working to suspend all Destiny 2 sales, but you could still purchase silver up until 2 weeks ago. Now you cannot purchase silver in Russia, as of 2 weeks ago. So a big, they finally dropped the anvil on the situation. And there was not really much notice, I guess, but I mean, they did give you notice here. So you kind of should have, you should have known it was coming to some degree. But yeah, so that's where people are a little hey, where's the communication, Bungie says one thing and does another thing. They said that starting today, they would suspend all the sales, and then that didn't really happen. I mean, I guess maybe it took them 3 years to get it done. Maybe that's what happened. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how it all works, but, it is unfortunate circumstances. I think the part that I find to be a bit disjarring with this is the lack of maybe communication on the matter. Bungie said this, which is fine. They obviously have shown this is great. Of course, no one wants war. Bungie said lack of communication. And then they kind of have accepted people's money since, I feel like as soon as they announced this, they should have, in hindsight, maybe immediately stopped accepting people's money for silver, stop accepting people buying expansions, right? Like they can do now, like they've just done now, right? They've just finally Maybe it's taken that long to get there though. So we don't know the inner workings, right? Maybe when Bungie said, we're suspending it now, maybe it takes years to go into effect. Maybe it takes legislation and certain things to actually pass and to make these things happen, right? And so it probably does, right? So it shouldn't be completely unfounded or like bizarre, but part of the issue that's kind of transpiring from this is that people did purchase Edge of Fate and now they can't get a refund. At least that's what some people are claiming. Some people did purchase obviously the full annual pass, right? So you got Edge of Fate and you got Renegades, and now you can't get a refund, right? So it's like you didn't even get to play It's one thing, you got to play Edge of Fate. Maybe you shouldn't get a refund for that. I don't know, because technically Steam's terms of service is if you played for 2 hours, you don't get a refund. So like, maybe you don't get a refund for Edge of Fate. Fine, I guess. But like Renegades, like you paid for it, but you don't even get to play it. Maybe Bungie should like issue refunds for that, or at least like send an article, maybe not issue refunds. I don't know. But either way, it's like people are going to be like a little like, hey, this is kind of weird. It would have been smart to kind of get ahead of the information. I think no matter what you choose to do as your company, if you can get ahead of the information and the news and you like say, like, if you as a company announce the thing that is about to happen, like if you announce that Tapir is about to go live in an article, or if you announce anything, you get ahead of the narrative and you prevent misinformation, because it could very well be that Russian players can all get refunds, right? For Renegades. And there's just misinformation being spread around. We don't know, like, until you see like video proof or multiple video proof, and you have to go through and all this, like, the burden of proof is exhaustive, right? So, and it's 11% of your player base kind of gone overnight, it's like, it's at least worth talking about. Bungie has already spoken on the issue before, so I think that talking about it again is not necessarily going to be that extreme or that crazy. You know what I'm saying? Politics and games should never meet. And that's okay if you have that opinion where you feel like politics and games should never intertwine. You're not wrong for having that opinion, but it is also not wrong for Bungie to have the opinion that they do want to mix politics and video games. They can choose to do that, and they can have it can be beneficial in their perception from players, or it could also be detrimental. You have the freedom to say that, and Bungie has the freedom to say the opposite. That's the beauty of freedom of speech and thought, right? So you're more than welcome to feel that way, and Bungie's more than welcome to feel different, and we should respect both opinions. I respect Bungie's opinion on this matter. I personally, I think that, I think the war against Ukraine is pretty awful. When you look at all the details of it, you're like, holy shit, that's way worse than, we should try to do everything in our power to stop that, even though it's not affecting us directly. When you look at how it's affecting real people and families and like things, you're like, holy shit. Like, you can almost imagine with social media and all these videos and clips now, you can almost imagine what would my life be like, like I wake up and like my problems in life are feel so much smaller than when you're thinking about like life and death, and like you're like being like fucking, war is being brought on your fucking neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? So teach their own though, how you perceive this stuff. And I think that the political conversation, obviously that's a very deep rabbit hole to go down. I'm not really interested in that. I just think that if you're going to shut off the servers, I guess maybe there should have been like a deadline or something, because it feels like they were like starting today, I mean, if you are a Russian player, you kind of had to expect it was coming to some degree though, right? Like you kind of had to expect it. You can't be like, oh wow, this was blinds. Like they did say it was going to happen 3 years ago, and then you happen to get a workaround, and you still technically have a workaround. Is it fair? Is it not fair? I mean, these are lengthy conversations that can be had. Obviously, Russian players are going to be upset because they're like, what the hell did I do? But ultimately, it's about bigger picture things for Bungie and why they're doing it. They're trying to like, send a message, right? And other companies are doing this as well. The ultimate goal, and basically the bottom line, or the overarching statement of this is companies do not want to be complicit in another person's war crimes, period. And you can from the top, you can go down and you can split it, and you can look at it and analyze it in a million different ways and say, oh, but what about this? What about that? What about the players that, they're just innocent civilians that have nothing to do with any of this? They don't even like their leader. They didn't even vote for him or anything like that. You can navigate all these different conversations. These are all valid points of topic and thought, and, it's more than welcome to discuss these things, but it does nothing beats the very top, right? You know what I'm saying? The very top of it, everything else can trickle down in different ideas, but at the very top, it's just people, this company, Bungie, and other companies don't want to be complicit in another person's war crimes. That's, you know what I'm saying? And some of us can relate and be like, yeah, of course. Like, I feel like a lot of people will be like, yeah, duh. Like, what the hell? Like, obviously. And some people, will be like, hey, but, what about this? And what about that? And so we use this analogy to kind of explain. It's a more of maybe a more extreme analogy, but the extreme analogy sometimes explains the gist of what we're talking about better, right? Imagine a different day and age where, Hitler is still alive, right? And all of that stuff is happening. And Hitler, we're trying to put sanctions on that so they can't play Destiny 2, right? And I'm not saying this is the exact situation, but it's like, obviously you don't want Hitler playing Destiny 2, right? You don't want to have your game be literally played, you know what I'm saying? You would want to stop that situation as much as possible, right? Like, you would want to stop that as much as, you would want to put as much friction against something as evil as that, right? And so it's like, in that situation, you're like, duh, of course, that fucking Hitler playing Destiny 2? Goddamn, of course not. Like, of course we would put sanctions on that, right? Now, this is a situation that's different to some degree, but I mean, committing war crimes, I'm not saying they're equal, obviously, but it's like, it's pretty fucking bad, So, and I'm not comparing them. Again, I'm just giving you an analogy so you can understand a situation that would warrant sanctions, and everyone would unanimously agree, right? I think most people agree with this too. And that's the reason why most companies are there. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I think that this is the right decision from Bungie. And I think that most people would agree with that. But you're more than welcome to disagree. You're more likely to be like, hey, no, I don't think that's the right thing. And that's fine. That's the beauty of freedom of speech, which we get to have. And it's awesome. So let's get back over here.
I just need answers, not replies on forums, not some banal messages like, restricted by law. What law? In which country? Why? Like, yes, I understand. As I said earlier, 2022 happened. We all know. But why now, 3 years later, has this changed? What changed on September 15th and 16th? What's so global? Well, okay, I can assume, yes, but still, like, I have a couple of thoughts on this matter. But that's the thing, a couple of thoughts.
So that's what it was, is that September, 15th, 16th, it finally went live. It's 3.5 years later. And so they're kind of, the Russian players, they want to know, why now? And it's a valid question to have, I suppose. And I think that it wouldn't be wrong to answer them necessarily. But it's also you kind of know the reason why, you know what I'm saying? You should, everyone is pretty well aware of the reason why. Whether you think it's fair or not is fine, to disagree with one way or the other. But I mean, you kind of know the reason why, right? I mean, you could have the exact reason, I guess, for some. The end result will be the same in some ways too, right?
Thoughts. So, go ahead, our beloved developers, do what you did in 2022. Well, spoiler alert. I completely disagree with your decision, yes, of course. But at least you came out and clearly stated your position back then. I'm simply asking you to be consistent and do the same this year. I'm not saying you have to respect me, empathize with me, or anything, but I have the right to know that, as someone who devoted a third of their life to your game, who supported you one way or another, defended you, was on your side, even despite what you've been doing with this game lately, I still like it compared to other games. That's it. So, despite everything, I think we all love this game one way or another, even those who love to hate it, because many people who stopped playing a long time ago, they come to me during videos, during streams, and ask, isn't this game dead yet? Why are you still playing it? Quote, well, that means they care. It's like that joke or saying, yeah, like I ran after you half a block to explain how much I care about you. It's just, yeah, I do whatever I want, I play whatever I want. I don't care that it sounds like calming out. I'm not embarrassed about not caring. The main thing is that I'm doing what I enjoy and I want to continue doing it one way or another. And I don't care what people say about me. Yes, I can answer them there. Yes, I might get angry about something else, but overall, it won't change my attitude toward life there, or the game there, or anything else. Nothing you've told me or will say will change that. I just want to get my position across, yes, to everyone who watches this video one way or another.
So basically, he's just arguing for what his stance is and what his experience has been like, and that, he just wants to be able to play Destiny 2. Like, that's basically the gist of his point.
As long as I have the opportunity, I'll continue playing this game, and frankly, I don't care whether they remove the axe or not. Well, actually, it does matter, yes, because I still want to be able to at least play with someone, to have someone watch, yes, but I just want to know the answer. I need certainty, because, as they say, yes, it doesn't matter, there will be no panic if you voice your plan. I'd like to thank Lucky 10p, she's...
Hold up. What? That was out of nowhere? What the hell? Hey, recognition, let's go.
forever, and the game post, who shed light on the situation with the game in our region. I don't know if they did it out of sympathy or hype, but either way, the fact that they weren't afraid is awesome. Thanks.
For me, it was, I genuinely will cover the news. And I mean, the news is the news. I don't know what the news is going to be tomorrow, but I'm going to cover the news. And I'm not really afraid of talking about anything because I'm genuinely just approaching it from like a perspective of I'm talking about the news. Like, I feel like some people might be afraid to talk about certain topics. Maybe I just have something missing up there where I'm not afraid, man. I'll talk about whatever, I'm always doing it out of respect. Everything I'm doing is out of respect and to just talk about what are people talking about? We live in a country where freedom of speech is praised, is front and center. So you should absolutely have the ability to discuss and talk about anything that's going on. And sometimes when you talk about things, they can be hot topics. And sometimes you can talk about things and maybe you can be misinformed. And that's why it's good to have conversations. So that way we can work out the misinformation and try to understand what's going on here and what is happening. What's the big picture here?
Guys, if you happen to see this video, thanks for bringing our problem to light.
That's what's up.
I hope that through the petition, through the forums, through the Banjax site, through Steam, through refunds, game returns, and through Western content from creators, we'll somehow get through to our beloved developers. Or they'll decide for themselves that it's time to come out and say what's going on, because, well, I think we have a right to know. Anyway, something like that. Well, we'll continue.
And then they gave us communication here, right? So this guy was like, hey, I've been getting to peer. What's going on? Right? Starting after September 15th, 16th, around that time frame. So then Bungie did respond saying, Destiny services are not available where access is restricted by law. 9 days afterwards, like they're actually explaining what happened and why it's happening. This is good. This post is good communication. Whether you agree or disagree, I'm just saying the communication is good. And this article is good. Standing with solidarity, and there's a Ukraine emblem in game if you want to support them and support the causes, to help them, right? Oh, shit just got spicy. Sony fully stops operations in Russia. Sony has finally completely ceased its operations in Russia and closed down its local office. The company officially ended its activities on August 11th, 2025, almost 18 years after entering the market. This is exactly the timeline with Destiny 2. They all got shut down. Actually, got shut down September 15th, so maybe a month later. Right? Source, the Moscow Times, an independent Amsterdam-based news outlet, as reported by Mezha Media, a technology and IT news platform within Ukrainska I'm sorry, I'm butchering this name right now. Holding company. Details, the documents for the closure of the business in Russia were submitted to the country's federal tax service earlier on October 10, 2024. Sony had attempted to entirely cease operations in 2023, but was refused at that time. Whoa, so Sony tried to shut it down in 2023, but they were refused. So this was actually meant to go live much earlier. So this happened in March 2022, but it was meant to happen in 2023. So the reason why there's like this 3-year time, like I said, there's legislation being passed. There's a lot of loopholes you have to jump through, right? The decision to stop operations in Russia was made after Moscow launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022. Almost immediately, shipments of video game consoles ceased and the PlayStation store was shut down. Sony has been selling off its remaining stock in recent years. So it takes time to really, what I'm saying? The market is big. There's a lot of connections. It takes time to stop these things, right? You can't just remove the consoles off the shelves overnight. So that's the reason why, which makes sense. Legislation, laws, these things move slow. We should understand this by now. Along with ending PlayStation operations and supplies, Sony also stopped distributing films in Russia and is closing down Sony Music. Wow. In addition, the Japanese company began shutting its branded stores in February 2024. Whoa. So the stores are getting shut down themselves. So they have their own branded Sony stores all throughout Russia. Those are shut down. You can no longer listen to music. You're no longer watching movies, and you ain't playing Destiny 2 anymore. Background: notably, since the beginning of the full-scale invasion, Sony had been providing Ukrainians with free PlayStation Plus subscriptions, but this promotion ended late last year. So they're giving the people of Ukraine subscriptions and stuff, support for Ukraine because they're the ones that are affected by the war, you know? So interesting stuff. Very interesting stuff. So this is very eye-opening for the situation and kind of understanding all the different facts that are happening. So let me know what you think about it, though, down in the comment section below.